joining us now. I'm very, very excited to welcome to the program a very good friend. I mean, someone who's like a sister to me, really? Honestly.
His black sister.
So many. Artesia Balthrop. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
So you're really important because you're actually somebody I've mentioned you on the show. I mean, you're part of the original brain trust.
Thank you. I hear my shout outs when I tune in. I'm always delighted. I feel like you call me into the show.
You are. You gave me, I mean, I remember sitting and like having Mexican food with you being like, and then there's going to be illicit histories for the patrons.
Right.
And that's going to be like stuff like Jamaica in the 70s. And you're like.
And I told you to dial it back, right? I was like, that's too much content for one program.
You told me that, but then what actually flipped you? Because I think you actually told me to dial one or two ideas back, which I actually did dial back. Right. And then I persuaded you on stuff like the histories.
Right. I know. I think what you had to do was come up with a format.
Right.
At first, it was just a bunch of ideas. But once you put a format together and you could slot those ideas in, I could see it clearly, and I got on board.
See? Mm-hmm. The producer.
Yes, I am a producer.
And you've worked at all sorts of. You let the people know a little bit.
Sure. I definitely want to start this conversation by saying I did work for Jay-Z. So as we get into that conversation, you
do you like
keep
my
that
Jay-Z
in mind.
impression?
No, actually, I don't. It's not my favorite.
Oh.
I like your Obamas a lot better than your Jay-Z's.
Sure.
Right, but
but it's pretty good actually. The Jay-Z's pretty good.
That sounds like Obama. But yes, I grew up in my career working for major cable brands, VH1, MTV's. I've done reality TV, live events. And then I got this cool little project called Jay-Z's Life and Times at one point in my career, which was a branded channel by YouTube, was the programming manager for that and director of production. Left there when the project ran out of money, and have been just in these streets ever since, making television, films, branded content, and offering some strategy to companies who want to grow their production businesses.
And I knew that you needed to also be talking on mic.
Thank you. Yes.
Without a doubt. But let's talk. We'll talk more broadly about, and I've definitely talked about this on Woke Bros with Waz. There's a broader critique here about this partnership with Jay-Z and the NFL, and how we're sort of leveraging celebrity and the relationship between capital and politics and all of this type of thing.
Yada, yada. Yep.
Yada, yada. Mm-hmm. Heavy on the yada, yada. But let's just start with Moynihan Report. Remix.
We should go there.
The remix.
Yeah. I mean, before we start, I'm going to also admit that I tried to not have an opinion on Jay-Z NFL, right?
Really?
I did. I tried not to because there's so many things to have an opinion on. And I think there's so many things to have an opinion on. And I knew that this was making Jay-Z money, right? And so this was a business deal for him. So I just wanted to stay away from it in my thoughts. I didn't want to just put too much in my own brain. But this clip you're going to play now.
Got your thoughts going.
I always had thoughts, but now I can vocalize an opinion and explain a couple things to the folks.
Here, it's
now I can get on the mic.
All right. Let's play this. This happened just the other day. This is Jay-Z talking about single-parent households and police brutality. And maybe, Matt, could you play this on the speaker? Because actually, there is something wrong with my headphones. We got to figure it out after.
We can
play it on the speaker.
Okay.
You think about the idea of growing up in a single-parent house, which I grew up in, which Meek grew up in, and having an adverse feeling for authority, right? Your father's gone, so you like, I hate my dad. Well, nobody tell me what to do. I'm the man in the house. And then you hit the street and you run into a police officer, and his first thing is, put your hands up, freeze, shut up. And you like, excuse my language, everybody. You like, fuck you, right? So that interaction causes people to lose life.
I just have to say, I always love the guy, the like whoever this white guy from the NFL is, that he has to sit here and it's so funny because he's sort of like simultaneously like, well, I probably shouldn't say anything about any of this, but even I am not sure how this is going to play.
That face says it all.
Yeah,
And you like, excuse my language, everybody, you like, fuck you. Right? So that interaction causes people to lose lives.
So, and I just want to say, can I just put on the table too, that this is also after he made his initial comments sort of about like, you know, the Kaepernick job is done.
Yeah, we're done kneeling.
Because all right. So
we're over kneeling.
Anyways, do you think? Say what you think.
So there's an author right now, Ibram X. Kendi, who's on a press tour for his book, How to Be an Anti-Racist. And before this came out, I was listening to an interview he did on Democracy Now! And he made this point that really got me thinking, right?
Sure you're in that zone.
Yeah, that really got me thinking. And the point was that these racist views that we internalize as Black people are the real Black on Black crime. And I don't know how often the general public gets to hear these thoughts and ideas that we as Black people have internalized. And it's caused us to not think about the system, but to think about our own responsibility as we interact with the system. So I was kind of shocked to hear that come out of Jay-Z's mouth. Like, you were raised by this strong woman who's a lesbian, who you've championed for like coming out and just leading you throughout your life in the absence of a father. But then you would sit here and say, it is that absence of a father that is causing Black men to be shot in the street. Like, I couldn't believe that he would be able to make, that connection. And I just chalked it up to capitalists will capitalists. Like, they're going to do it.
Isn't that like the part two that it's like, and it's funny because it's so tone deaf that this actually is problematic for the very thing that they're trying to achieve with this sort of brand washing. But, people have made this point. I'm trying to think of how to formulate it, but it's like the kind of like, well, if you're in the room, then you're not going to be the one to make the point. Right?
Well, I mean,
in terms of this kind of deal, I don't mean in general the importance of different people being in the room. I just mean that like the NFL is not going to get on board with a brand partnership of somebody who says we need to fundamentally restructure American policing and dismantle the racist classist prison industrial complex. And also, while we're at it, police shouldn't carry guns.
No, they want fans. They want their audience to tune in every Sunday. And so they made this deal thinking that these Black viewers that they've lost, or not just Black viewers, anyone who was on the side of Kaepernick, were going to see Jay-Z and they were going to remember his lyrics and they were going to tune in. But it's backfired, right? But I also want to remind people, like, the line that I've heard referenced in so many meetings when people talk about Jay-Z is, I'm not a businessman, I'm a business, man.
Right.
And so
I am a businessman.
I'm a business man. So this is him being a business man. This is clearly business for him. And I think we as an audience forgot that. Like, he is really out here to make a dime. And it sucks that, his double consciousness is playing out on TV like this, or in the audience where we actually get to watch him fight himself. Like, that's what I see. And it's sad. It's really sad to me. Like, he, maybe Nas won a point.
Nas won.
You're right.
Nas won.
Nas won a point.
Managed to make money off of Casper without blaming Black fathers for police murders. So I'm going to say he won one.
Yeah, he did win. I mean, even if you're not keeping score, Nas versus Jay-Z definitely lost one.
Wrote himself.
He lost one. He lost.
Oh my God. And he did that. That's a great song. And he did that with the chick who performed at Trump's inauguration, right?
Yes. Oh my God, her name just fell out of my head.
Something Michelle?
Chrisette Michelle.
That's so
Chrisette
weird.
Michelle. They both lost one. Her career has never rebounded after performing at the Trump inauguration.
She's really talented, and she's not in a position to lose one like Jay-Z can.
Yeah. So I think he's lost a lot in this current.
So then let's actually play it like a capitalist mercenary for a second. What then? Didn't the NFL just lost one because the whole currency they're trying to buy evaporated in that one statement, right?
I don't know if they lose in this case, though. Like, they've already lost as much as they were going to lose. You know,
Right.
so they're not going to see any more attrition from this. I think people are going to stand on their morals. Like, even if I wanted to watch an NFL game again, I can't now. You know, like it's distasteful. Like, I have a bad taste in my mouth when I think about football at this point, and this has furthered it for me and for a lot of people, which is part of the reason why I didn't want to have an opinion, because I was like, I'm not going to watch this sport anyways. Like, I'm not gonna watch the game. I'm not gonna watch the halftime show. I'm not gonna watch this free Meek Mill and Meghan Trainor concert. Like, I'm not watching any of that because I'm completely turned off by the brand that is the NFL. And they were hoping that they would win back folks like me. And you can't when you're pretty much Bill Cosbying out here telling people to pick up their pants.
Yeah, I was going to say, old school. Bill Cosby used to mean something different.
Right.
Jay-Z was doing that Bill Cosby.
Right,
Just to be clear.
Perhaps you reach a certain level in your entertainment career, or you attain a certain amount of money and you just go Bill Cosby. I don't know, pick up your pants. I mean, that Bill Cosby, the pick up your pants and stop listening to rap music, Bill Cosby. Not that one.
But doesn't this also, to me, like, and again, this is the relative. So I mean, this is part of the ethos of this show, right? Is that, look, there's no doubt we need to, in my view, we got to graduate from capitalism. We need to dismantle these structures. If we don't, there's a huge amount of human suffering, including the human suffering of different racial structures, and racism is implicated by it. And then there's also the class structure. There's also the like viability of life on Earth structure. Like capitalism and Earth's limits are in a collision course. And that's not something that can be negotiated.
Right.
But, and then on the other hand, I've definitely been in spaces and had conversations where and even done some work where it's like, there's no question that, especially while we're playing this game, all of these companies and organizations and who's in the room and who's making decisions and who's having input need to be radically changed, because it does have a serious impact on people's lives day in and day out. And there's no contradiction in my mind between that dialectic. They're both true. However, in the age of Trump of 2019, and even coming out of, I think, a fuller reality of what the Obama era was on a policy level, the collapse of home wealth, all of these other things.
Yep.
When Jay-Z comes out, and this is actually, I'm not even, because you could find, Jay-Z happens to be the best representation of this because he's the most successful. There's lyrics that could be reflected on this in Nas or whoever. It's a certain generation that correlated, and I think there's differences. I think Nas does have more political sophistication, but regardless, they correlated images and rhetoric of liberation. And Jay-Z, most explicitly, has actually said, like, when he showed up at Occupy Wall Street, his big contribution was to try to flip a T-shirt. None of the proceeds went to supporting Occupy Wall Street. Someone questioned him about it. He said, when people see me on stage, that is a form of liberation, to paraphrase.
That's what he said.
That's done. I guess what I'm trying to say is, I feel like that I'm not even making a normative critique. I'm trying to say, like, what is the salience of that in today's world? Like, don't we literally have to do better than that?
I mean, yes.
Yeah, like,
right? Is that a rhetorical question? Yes,
well, no,
in order for us to
elaborate
progress.
on just even like the area where it's like, he, as a tastemaker and as a trend maker, he's not here anymore.
Okay, so the other thing that happens when I like hear Jay-Z say these things is I have to remember that people forget that Black people are capitalists, right?
Indeed.
We just haven't had access. So when you think about
there's huge high rates of inequality inside the Black community.
Absolutely, right? But I can't remember who commented on it. It was like maybe it was a source. I don't know. I read weird things. But someone started.
Weird.
I mean, but they started by saying the Jay-Z of Marcy Projects is no more. And, in reference to this. And I'm like, no, that's the same Jay-Z. Right? Because the Jay-Z who walked out of his project building to hold down the block and sell crack was trying to make money the way that he had access to make money. And he raps about that. He's always rapped about that. So I've I always know him to be a capitalist. Like, that is what so many fans in the streets are inspired by, like that desire to think like a business, to see business deals that other people don't see. So I think in order for us to move forward, the hip hop community and anyone who is influenced by Jay-Z, I think we're gonna have to dismantle our understanding of money. You know, like our relation to money and how we make money and, you know, how money benefits certain people. And, you know, as me, someone who works in media in these major cable brands, I see millions of dollars every day. I touch millions of dollars. I manage millions of dollars of other people's money. But there are so many times that I don't have a voice at that table that I'm sitting at. And I didn't know that I didn't have a voice. I was just happy to be there. I was just like, oh, I'm here, I'm in the room. And then I realized I have no decision-making power. And I'm making things that people are watching and influenced by, but yet I can't tell anybody that that's wrong. Don't say that. You know, like, so for me, because that's where I am as a person, when I see Jay-Z, I have to think about myself, right? Because I want to do better. So I'm like, well, do I think like that? Is that how I'm leading my life and my career? And I realized it is at certain times.
Oh, I love that too, because that's a broader point too about why I hate the call out, cancel, toxic culture too, is that no one turns to the self-assess. And I have no problem. And again, and that's why I do these critiques, because even Jay-Z, I think there's a structural critique of that role in society right now. And part of it is just an anti-capitalist critique, which I have, period, full stop. But Jay-Z is still a great artist. Jay-Z is still somebody you engage with. But so it's not a question of, oh, he did this, so he's done. That mentality is disgusting.
I'm so over that.
We're
going to throw away everybody?
It's a stupid, disgusting mentality on so many, and a very capitalist one in many respects, if you read The Vampire Castle. But, so I love that it's the flip. Those are the duality of like, wow, he just stated something that is so toxic,
right,
so pernicious, and so validating of every type of category of racism and sexism imaginable. And then at the same time, where do we hold that? Yes, I love that flip.
Because I mean, we're the soldiers, actually, right? Like, we're the people who are doing the work every single day, and I'm sure Jay-Z, he's doing the work, but we are out here with that marching order to do something. So I could not help but turn inward when I saw that. And it was like, okay, so what can I do on a daily basis? And I had to evaluate my relationship to money and capitalism. And like yourself, I am a growing anti-capitalist, you know, I'm not quite where you are, which is probably why I lean a little bit more towards Elizabeth Warren.
Boo.
I know.
Not good.
I just dropped it for the room.
Not
I didn't say it
good.
earlier when they were bashing Elizabeth Warren, but you know, I'm getting there. And I do have to give props to Bernie, because I was burning for Bernie. I did. But
we had a lot of really good masterminds.
A lot of them, you know,
Yes.
and I was burning, but he pushed my consciousness to the left. He really did. And so now I listen to this and I'm like, oh shoot, I'm way left now.
Right.
Because somebody that I adore as an artist and whose business dealings I used to admire and look up to, I'm looking at this one like, nah, this doesn't work for me. And I realize that it doesn't work for me because I'm now way over here.
But it's also not, and I think it's also not working because Jay-Z too is stuck in a place where he keeps replaying that old record, right? So
yeah.
And it's funny. And again, one of the things I do like about Nas, and I think makes Nas actually can be way more contradictory. He's all over the place, but he'll touch on more of just that basic contradiction. Like, I'm very aware of certain things, and I'm also like spending $40,000 a day at a spa.
Right,
but
yeah.
not because I'm at the spa, you're good. Jay-Z still really carries that. And then that's the other point, which is important about this, which is that it's so fundamentally American. That's Horatio Alger. That's everything.
Super American.
And
right.
It's so racialized, obviously, that rap gets the rap of like, oh, they're such materialists. You'd be like,
right.
oh, like in the contrast to the rest of this like beautiful, simple America where people are not obsessed with money and status.
I've had to tell people over and over again, like, Black people are capitalists. and we are very American. It's just we have not had the access.
Because Black people are American.
Yeah, but we are like the quintessential Americans in many regards. You know, like we believe so strongly in those things that have been force fed for us to believe in. You know, pull yourself up by your bootstraps, work really hard, like make money. We believe those things, and I feel like we're always fighting to get to those things. And once we get to the table, we're like, okay, now I'm here. Pull up your pants. Get fathers in the house. So that's the process that I'm trying to stop. You know, like if I'm at this table, I can't now look down at my brethren and tell them to pick their pants up and that they need to get fathers in their house. There's a system that was created to oppress us. And that is who we should be fighting against, that system, and tearing that system down, not each other.
What's this one? We got one more from Jay.
This is when he was talking about Kaepernick.
Okay, yeah, let's play that real quick. And don't worry, then we'll stop. Then we'll stop.
Oh, this is exhausting.
Don't worry. Later we'll listen to H to the Izzo. You know, very, very exalted stuff. All right, let's go.
Okay, I think we've passed kneeling. Yeah, I think it's time to go into actionable items. I think everyone knows what the issue is.
Who taught him that?
And we're done with that. Everyone knows what you know what the issue is? You know why we were kneeling? Okay, do you know the issue? Yeah, do you know the issue? Yes? We all know the issue now. Okay, next. Where are we moving on next? And I'm not, again, so to be clear for the room, I'm not minimizing that part of it because that has to happen. That's a necessary part of the process. But now we all know what's going on. What are we going to do? How are we going to stop? Because the kneeling was not about a job. It was about injustice. Let me bring attention to injustice. Everyone's saying, how are you going forward? And Cap doesn't have a job. This wasn't about him having a job.
Ooh. I feel like a lot of it is about him being totally like blackballed by the league.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's like a concrete manifestation of everything we're talking about.
Oh, I mean, we started kneeling against police brutality, and then we got to this point where he's being blackballed because he was kneeling against police brutality. So we can't get past that.
And
we absolutely can't get past that.
A large part of the NFL watching public thinks it's about disrespecting the troops too.
And the flag, yes.
Right. Because of the lies that people like Trump told. Exactly. So he should actually say, first, we have to correct a misperception that this is about hating America. This is about our safety and well-being. Mm-hmm. And then thirdly, my first, maybe even first, my first job even being in this room is to get Colin Kaepernick back in it. But that goes back to the point of he wouldn't be in the room if he was going to say that.
Absolutely. And the other thing is, I kind of see where he's going. Like, we got to do something actionable, action items.
You got to do something actionable.
You got to do something, transactions.
A dashiki during the halftime show.
We have to do something.
You got to do something.
Totally get that, but that's the wrong thing to do.
But this is the limitations but this is why woke signifying capitalism is ultimately not. Come on.
It doesn't work.
It's not policy. It's not power. It's not money. It's not things. And then ultimately, when you can't touch those things, I think you do have to fall back to tropes, right? Like, well, nothing's in play, so I don't know, dads. Where the dads at?
I mean, is this yes, that is a trope, but I think he just fell back to making money the best way he knew how.
Which is also a trope.
Is it true? Okay.
You've just watched a Michael Brooks show video, and you can watch all of our full main live shows every Tuesday night at around 7 p.m. Eastern Time, and subscribe to get all of the clips you want. We're covering the globe. We're focusing on international relations, the intellectual dark web. We're having fun. We're doing deep dives with a lot of amazing guests. Of course, become a patron for the whole thing at patreon.com/TMBS, or subscribe to this YouTube channel and help us keep growing and get that content out there. Subscribe below.